My name is Erica Harrison. Actually, I have a scar on my face. It's quite a big scar, and I managed to hide it with my bangs, but it's still pretty hard to cover up. This scar was caused by a certain incident, and deep down, I thought I could never get married because of it. But my husband married me, even with a scar on my face. By the way, my husband's name is Kyle, and my best friend's name is Lisa. I'm really grateful to Kyle for marrying someone like me. But lately, he's been kind of cold, or rather, distant. It seems like Lisa is leading Kyle on. Not that I found any definitive evidence, but I just feel it from the atmosphere between the two of them. And it seems like Lisa has been bad-mouthing me to Kyle, looking down on me because of my face. Lisa and I met in high school in New York. I've been living in New York since high school, but before that, I lived in the countryside. Also, this scar on my face happened when I was trying to save someone when I was little. It was during my 6th grade in elementary school, when there was a big earthquake and a disaster occurred. I was lucky because my house was near a mountain, so I was able to evacuate relatively quickly. Even luckier, I happened to be outside the house when the earthquake struck, so I wasn't trapped under the house. At that time, I was home alone because my father was on a business trip, and my mother had gone shopping with my brother, who was about to start college and live on his own, to a safer, more urban area a bit far away, leaving me to look after the house temporarily. My grandparents lived out of state, so I couldn't rely on them. I've always been a responsible child, so my parents thought I could be trusted to stay home alone for half a day. It was a peaceful town, and we had an agreement not to use fire. We'll be out for half a day, but don't use fire, okay? Yes, I know. Don't worry, just go. We'll be back soon. It's fine. Take your time. Also, in case anything happened, we had a good relationship with our neighbors, so my parents felt safe going out. That's when the disaster struck on a Sunday afternoon when my family was out. It happened in an instant, and I had never experienced such a big earthquake before, so I didn't know what to do. But I remembered what my teachers at elementary school had always said during the monthly school assemblies about escaping to the evacuation center on the mountain if there was a disaster, so I headed for the mountain. On my way to the mountain, I found a man buried under debris. It seemed he had been trapped while trying to escape from his house. So, I decided to help him move the debris. Actually, I had been thinking about joining the track and field club in middle school and doing shot put. So, even in elementary school, I actively lifted heavy things and carried weights during physical education classes. I had trained my body to some extent, so even though I was just a 6th grader, when I saw the man in need of help, I didn't think about whether I could do it or not. I just thought I had to move the debris, not caring about myself. Also, at my elementary school, there were stories about students who had found a lost 3-year-old child and taken them to the police station, or helped someone with dementia. And they were honored by the school. So, I thought I couldn't just ignore it, and even though I panicked right after the disaster struck, I instinctively felt I had to help the man in front of me. But unfortunately, because the ground was unstable, I lost my balance, and the debris above me fell, injuring me from my forehead to my temple. I was hit badly, and a lot of blood came out. Well, that's the story of my facial scar. In the end, it was worth it because I was able to save the man. His lower body was under the debris, so it seemed he was injured, and it took quite a while to walk to the evacuation center. There was a risk of tsunamis and fires, but since I was already on the mountain, I was able to evacuate faster than others. And on the way to the evacuation center, I became friends with the men I helped, and we learned each other's names. But honestly, I don't remember his name anymore after arriving at the evacuation center. We separated because of first aid, and I spent the night surrounded by strangers since my family wasn't there. The next day, when the sun came up, I saw on the news that my mother and brother had come to the evacuation center, looking frantic, and had told the staff to look for me. I was embarrassed when the staff called my name loudly, but when I looked in the direction of the call, I saw my mother.
Mom, I'm sorry. I left you alone. You must have been scared.
I did my best on my own.
You did well. It's okay now.
It seemed they had been searching for me a lot. Seeing my sweaty mother, I was relieved that we were safely reunited. After such a tough experience, by the time I reached high school, my family had moved to New York. A distant relative was moving into a condo with caregiving services, so we were allowed to live in the house they had been living in. Lisa and I hit it off in high school. We were both considered beauties, and others often envied us. But deep down, Lisa didn't like it when someone other than herself got attention, especially since I, who also received a lot of attention and had a strong sense of my own opinions, was not to her liking. And then, I graduated from high school and started to work. Then, I met Kyle when I was hanging out with Lisa in our private lives. I was self-conscious about the scar on my face, but I'm filled with gratitude towards Kyle for marrying me anyway. And that's why I sometimes hold back a little. But Lisa took advantage of that and gradually started to show her true colors. Lisa, Kyle, and I used to hang out in a group of friends, just having fun together. So when Kyle, he was quite the looker, and I got married, Lisa seemed to think I had stolen him from her. She started bad-mouthing me and they began hanging out, just the two of them. And recently, their affair came to light. Then, just the other day, I accidentally caught them kissing in the shadow of a building, confirming their affair. Honestly, I had a hunch, so it was more of I knew it feeling than shock. Right then, I instinctively recorded the scene of Lisa and Kyle's affair.
Is everything going smoothly with Erica?
Yeah, of course. I told her I was at work.
That's good. I mean, I've missed you. When are you going to break it off with Erica?
She's pretty sharp, so we have to be careful not to get caught. I don't want to pay any alimony, so I'm figuring out how to break it off smoothly.
Just get it over with quickly. You don't want a wife with a scar on her face, do you?
Well, yeah. It's a bit embarrassing to introduce her to people. But even with the scar, Erica is beautiful.
If I were a guy, I wouldn't want to be married to damaged goods. I can't believe you married her.
And you call yourself Erica's best friend?
Stop it. Being best friends with her is a joke.
Women are scary.
That's just how women are. I heard them say.
Still, being a woman myself, I was shocked by their affair and didn't have the courage to confront Kyle about it. And the betrayal by Lisa hit me harder than I expected, leaving me without the energy to say anything. I couldn't talk to anyone about it and had to keep working silently for the sake of my family home. Our family home had been destroyed, so we all decided to work together to rebuild it. So I've been working hard and saving up, even though I'm married and I don't live at my family home anymore. I wanted to rebuild the house on that land because it's full of memories. After all, it's where my parents met, and having grown up watching my loving parents, I've always aspired to have a marriage like theirs. So when we decided as a family to rebuild our home, I wanted to help in any way I could and worked hard. It seems there was a fire after I escaped, and all the property at my family home was lost. It was amazing that I even survived. Finding out about Kyle and Lisa's affair at such a time made everything feel even more hopeless. But then, during work, an unfamiliar man approached me. Welcome.
Hello, are you Erica?
Yes, I am Erica Harrison. May I ask who you are?
I apologize for not introducing myself. My name is Tommy Foster, he said, handing me his business card.
Honestly, I had no idea who he was. Have we met before?
No, we've never met.
He spoke with such familiarity that I thought he must be an old acquaintance.
To be precise, I knew of you. I work at a company in New York. But didn't you once help a man buried under debris?
Oh, you mean during the big earthquake a few years ago?
The man trapped under the debris thought it was the end for him. But then, a young elementary school girl, despite the danger, didn't hesitate to dig him out. He thought he was already beyond help, so he was grateful for the life you saved.
The man in front of me conveyed. I suddenly remembered that this scar on my face was indeed the result of that incident. Is that man doing well now?
Yes, He's doing well now. He miraculously recovered and is working hard. And he's been looking for you, Erica.
Looking for me?
Yes, but his business took a while to get off the ground, so he couldn't find you right away. I am the son of the man you saved. His name is James.
You're his son? The man, who seemed to be about my age, had been talking about the disaster, which was a bit strange. But now the mystery was solved.
My father was there by chance for a contract that day, and I was in New York. But as soon as I heard about the disaster, I rushed over with my mother. That's when I heard from my father about what had happened.
You were at the evacuation center too, Tommy?
I was there for a moment to pick up my father who had been in the disaster. At that time, my father said, "That girl saved my life." He always wanted to repay the favor. After that, we couldn't find you for a while due to her circumstances.
So that's why you knew of me.
My father learned your full name when the evacuation center staff called out for you and you reunited with your mother.
I began to grasp the situation as the man in front of me continued to speak.
Since we might be in touch in the future, may we exchange contact information?
That's what he said. So we exchanged contact information, and I let him go for the day. It's amazing how you can reconnect with someone after so many years. And since it wasn't busy that day, I got off work early. When I got home, I found Kyle and Lisa on top of my bed. What's this?
You were supposed to come home late today, weren't you?
I got off work early. So, what's going on with you and Lisa?
Well,
They started to panic, but I had noticed an unfamiliar pair of women's shoes at the entrance. So I knew it was Lisa and secretly started recording. And I had made up my mind. So, you really wanted to break up with me that badly, huh? Fine, let's break up then.
what are you talking about?
Remember the day you suddenly had to work on a holiday? That day, I saw you two kissing in an alley. I had suspected you two were an item for a while, so I recorded that moment. And now, too, I said, giving them a wink.
Erica, what are you?
I'll be asking for alimony from both of you.
Alimony. I told you I didn't want to cheat in our house before breaking up with Erica.
Don't blame me. It wouldn't have been a problem if you had just broken up with her sooner.
They started arguing, but I didn't have time to watch them leisurely and decided to start the process for alimony right away. The house we lived in was in my name, so I decided Kyle had to move out, though he threw a fit until the very end. He seemed to be the type who cared about appearances. I felt more comfortable living without someone who insulted me. I thought I should have left him sooner. What a waste of time. And then, I just kept working. Not because I wanted to forget Kyle, but to rebuild my family home. Then, one day, Tommy came by again.
I was in the area and thought I'd drop by.
We had exchanged contact information, so I thought he could have just called.
Would you like to go for lunch? It's noon. Or have you already eaten?
No, not yet. Please wait a moment. After the divorce, we started meeting up more frequently. Honestly, now that I was divorced and could enjoy conversations with a work colleague, he confessed, "I'd like to date you with marriage in mind." But honestly, I was confused. After everything with Kyle, I hadn't planned on dating or marrying for a while. I had mentioned my divorce the last time we had lunch, but hearing Tommy's story changed my mind.
After my father survived the disaster, he always said to marry someone brave like that girl, someone with a strong, kind heart. And Erica, when I found you, I was instinctively drawn to you. I held back from approaching you right away because you were already married. That day, I only shared about my father, but I think I understand why he was drawn to you. So, I'd like to ask you out properly.
Feeling Tommy's sincerity and passion, I decided to face him properly. Despite the tough experiences, I felt it was valuable to be with someone who thought of me that way. And so, I started dating him. Moving out of the house I shared with Kyle felt a bit sad because it was convenient, close to the station and convenience stores. But since I was starting a new relationship, there was no need to stay there any longer. So I decided to move. With the alimony from Kyle and Lisa, I moved to a slightly upscale area. Still, I chose a place with reasonable rent. I wanted to save money. Years passed, and I ended up marrying Tommy. He became a manager in his father's company, so income was not an issue. Thanks to his successful business, we now live a comfortable life, and now we're blessed with 2 children, living happily. It was a relief that Kyle and I didn't have any children. Our 2 boys are gentle and handsome. They inherit Tommy's sharp features. Despite the hardships in my life, I've learned that perseverance can be rewarded. And as for my family home, Tommy decided to gift it to us. Or rather, with his business success, the house and land became like a dowry during her parents' meeting. It's unusual to think of it as a greeting or dowry, but it seems like a grand gesture of gratitude from Tommy's family. I don't know what's become of Kyle and Lisa, but from what I hear, they haven't changed. Now, being away from those 2, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to enjoying the rest of my life.